Do you remember when you were an adolescent? Hormones, friendships, relationship breakups, and a brain that was trying to figure itself out. Although this is a strangely normal time, it's also a time where real mental health issues can begin. Today, we're joined again by Kilebogile Mojana, a clinical psychologist with years of experience assisting children and families through mental health challenges. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for having me again, Kuto.
This time, we're talking teenagers.
Yep.
I remember from our chat around children that, we established that the biggest thing was establishing understanding and opening up the lines of communication and not stigmatizing the issues around mental health as much.
Mm-hmm.
So much more difficult in teenagers.
Yeah.
Eye rolls and shrugs and no real answers, right? So this time they have the vocabulary, they just don't want to use it. Why are teenagers particularly at risk for mental health issues?
Yeah. Oh, what an age group, right? But such a fascinating age group, I must say, because this is the stage of identity formation. Like, who am I in the world? And there's so much information, especially with teens today. There's so much information about who they should be, how they should present, and so forth, right? But it's such a beautiful age because if you're curious enough, you'll get to the depths of who am I, So the teens tend to be at risk because remember when we had the conversation, and I'd encourage you guys to watch the conversation on children and mental illness, but part of it is that their brains are not yet fully formed, right? I think there's new research that's emerging where they're saying that the adolescent age should be from the age of sort of 11 to 25.
Sure.
Right? So they want to extend it because they're realizing there's still the age group after 18 are still at risk.
Yeah.
And the reason again for that is that their brain fully the prefrontal cortex only fully develops at 25, right? But why is that important? It's important because it means that their decision making is biologically impaired, number one. So this is to help us have empathy for teenagers. Number two, unlike with children, there's hormones at play. Right? So it's no longer just my big feelings and my big body, but now with teenagers, it's my feelings, my big body, and my hormones.
Yeah.
And never mind the fact that I'm not really, my brain is not really fully developed, right? So they're at risk because so much is happening inside of them. Imagine all of those things happening inside of you. But let's add another layer. Your body's changing.
Yeah.
Right? So for boys, you start to grow extremely tall, the growth spurts. It's the voice breaking.
Yeah. Acne.
Used to be in the choir. Now your voice has changed. You wanted to be a model. Now all of a sudden the acne is breaking out. You have 1 or 2 strands of hair. And other boys are having, some aren't having. You started wondering, where's my hair? So you can just imagine how much is happening in the body, right?
Yeah.
So for girls, oh my goodness, right? It's the body changing. It's the weight gain. Sometimes the hips that tend to be a bit filler. For some, it's the buttocks. Then it's the breasts growing and how painful that process is, right? From just wearing a shirt to having to wear a bra. It's the acne as well for them, which can be very difficult. But let's not talk about the M word, right?
Yeah.
They start to menstruate.
Yeah.
And that is anxiety provoking because now you have your hygiene has to change. Everything changes. So they're at higher risk because it's actually the age at which so much is happening
at the same time.
Yeah. Inside your body, inside your mind, around you, friends, family, so it's they're at high risk because of how much is changing inside of them. So they are sensitive little people.
Yeah. I remember being 15 and I always say I literally used to hate everyone. I hated everyone. I hated myself. I hated my friends. I hated the girls that weren't my friends at school. I hated the boys I didn't like at school. I hated my parents. Like, I hated everyone, right? And obviously that comes with a whole bunch of mood swings, right?
Yep.
When are they normal? When would we then classify this as a developmentally normal mood swing? And when is it something that we need to look at further?
Oh, that's a brilliant question, because I think, parents tend to worry a lot and get frustrated easily when it comes to the age group, right? So in terms of what's normal, mood swings are normal. And I think parents actually play a very important role in normalizing some of those things.
Yeah.
That your voice is going to change, your body's changing, how you look is going to change, how you take care of yourself is going to have to change. So it's a lot about normalizing some of those developmentally appropriate changes, right? And being careful also not to stigmatize it, and saying, "Get stagey."
Yeah.
Or "Get stagey." I think I've heard that as well, But to be able to hold it as a real experience.
Yeah.
Because they're real people.
Yeah.
So it's a real experience, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's very important. And once you are able to sort of embrace it, it's again easier for you to pick up when things aren't necessarily, quote unquote, healthy. So what is it? Teenagers typically are moody. What does it look like though? They only stuck in one sort of mood, right?
Yeah.
They never really they never step into happy, or they're constantly sad, they're constantly irritable, or they just, they don't engage any other emotions, but you can see it affect other areas in their life. So that's a very important marker of mental health challenges.
Yeah.
Is it affecting their ability to make friends?
Yeah.
Right? So the social aspect of it. Is it affecting their relationships with the adults in their world? Right? Because sometimes, they have difficult friendship dynamics, like you mentioned in the intro, right?
Yes.
And it could be part of it. But is it extending to family members? And is it affecting the ability to visit or be around other people? So first social marker, social. Okay, let me start that. So the first marker is, is it affecting their social life, right? Second marker, is it affecting their hygiene? So with teenagers, they tend to be quite, grumpy about getting themselves clean.
Yeah.
But is it to a point that even when they go be with their friends, they don't want to bath? Because around the adolescent age, if you think about it, you want to look good, because there's girls, there's boys. Now you start to be conscious about how you look and your hair.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, your teenagers doesn't really care much about hygiene, not using roll-on. I mean, that age group, roll-on use becomes very important, especially for the boys. Right? But they don't care for such things anymore, So their hygiene is not particularly, good. And then the other marker is work or school, mostly school for them, right? If, they're not doing too well at school, they're not getting along with any teacher, any student, that's when you start to say, okay, it's affecting even them going to school. They don't want to be around at school. And yes, school is hard, but there's a way in which we can help them cope and give them tools. But those tools don't seem to work. And they can't just, function in a healthy way in the school area. So I think the important thing is to note, is it affecting their social life and every aspect of social, their hygiene in all places in which they choose to show up. And third, their school life.
Okay. All right. I think that's a nice, easy way for parents to try and remember kind of when they should be worried about their children. Our kids are growing up with a lot more access to social media than ever before, right? So we have TikTok and dance challenges, and this one showing their body that looks like this, and this fashion, and these makeup techniques, and all sorts of things that we didn't have when we were teenagers, which undoubtedly are shaping the face of what mental health challenges are looking like. Again, the comparison trap, again, body dysmorphisms, again, gender identity, and all these other things that are compounding the fact that the prefrontal cortex is still developing and there's all this other stuff going on. What do you think? Social media, a blessing, a curse, or both?
It's both. I think if we live in a world of othering things, it prevents growth. It stagnates curiosity.
Yeah.
It frustrates, right? I think a healthy approach to seeing the world is that the world, in some ways in the world, we need to strive for balance, right?
Yeah.
If it's, social media is there,
Yeah.
so how do we work with it?
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
it's easy to other it, but it's already in my child's life, your child's life. How do we integrate it in a way that it is healthy? Because it can be unhealthy.
Yeah.
So let's not even, joke about that. It can be unhealthy, especially if it's not regulated, not supervised. It can get to a point where it can affect their mental health in a negative way.
Yeah.
So the important part is about being able to embrace it, because once you embrace it, you become curious about what is this thing in my child's life?
What are you watching actually?
What's in your life?
Yeah.
Because it could either be an argument around taking it away and them hating you anyway, or keeping it, but you being frustrated as a parent. But the most important thing is curiosity. Like, what is it? What do you enjoy on it? How do we regulate it in a way that's healthy? How do we integrate it into our lives? There's a surge of AI, right?
Yeah.
It's a sort of a new thing. Everything is AI right now. And it can be easy to demonize it and other it again, right?
Yeah.
But it's in some ways, it can make life easier. But in what ways can it be healthy?
Yeah.
And the only way you can know what ways it can be healthy is by understanding it. Right? So let's understand their world.
Yeah.
Let's be curious about their world.
Yeah.
Let's ask questions about the world, because when you understand it, then you understand what it means to your kid.
Yeah.
And then how to then start to help them have a healthier relationship with
Yeah.
it. But when you other it, you sort of shut down the conversation, and they'll find other ways to engage in, but in less informed ways, less regulated ways, and in ways in which you can also start to want to have a say about it, right?
Yeah, you've kind of missed the boat, right?
Missed the boat.
And it's a lot of what I'm getting from this conversation is you can't suddenly start when your child is a teenager trying to have this wonderful open relationship.
Yeah.
It is something that kind of starts a lot earlier on, and then it's just a continuation that involves more open dialogue about probably more adult things than what you would have maybe spoken about before. But for a parent who's sitting at home and has a fairly open relationship with their child, but is struggling to break through, but does have a suspicion that their child may have anxiety or depression, what are the practical first steps to take in protecting your child?
The first step is, again, curiosity about it, being curious around where is it playing out. I think it helps facilitate the conversation as well. It's one thing to just say you're always moody. I don't like it. It shuts down openness, right?
Yeah.
But you are able to speak about what you like, you're moody. But a curiosity about, observing, and being, and I think for some parents I've come across this, that they don't want it to get too far.
Yeah.
So they want to intervene as soon as possible, and that's something they don't like. However, you find that there's value in actually just taking time to really see how it's playing out, where it's playing out, and being able to then broach. If you already have an open relationship with your teen, great. But now imagine if you can give them the language to what you've observed them experience, and coming with the language such as, I've noticed in this space, this is what's happening, and I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are about that. Or I've noticed you had a fallout with your friends, and ever since then you don't necessarily hang out with anyone, including your favorite cousin. You used to love your favorite cousin.
What's happening?
So now it's also showing that you do have an interest in their life, because you are paying attention to their lives, right? And you pay attention to what's going on. So it's not from a judgmental you don't hang out with that kid anymore.
Yeah.
But it's more of an openness and curiosity, like, how can I understand what's going on in your world and allow them to invite you to the world? And it's a very important thing with teenagers, actually. Yeah.
We must learn to listen, right?
Listen, because they're going through an age where they feel scrutinized. Again, if we put ourselves in their shoes, so much is changing inside of them, around them. And, having a guidance, but in the form of, can you invite me into your world? Right?
Yeah.
And there's something about consent with teenagers as well, right? Because it's easy for them to shut you out. But but like, can I be part of your world? I'm already, this is a given. I'm part of your world in this way. I will provide. I'm here for you. I'm a parent. I'll help you with school. But I'd like to also be invited into your world with your friends.
Yeah. And I mean, I think a lot of parents think they want to know that.
True.
I think a lot of us think we want to know what's going on in our teenagers' brains and what they think of girls and what they think of all sorts of things. But I don't know that we're always ready for those conversations. But I think there's such an important aspect of raising a teenager. Bring yourself out of yourself and truly listen to what they're saying. What role do you think schools can play in this kind of thing?
Oh, such an important role. Because again, that's an age of identity formation. And they spend a lot of time at school.
They do.
Actually.
They do.
So teachers tend to shape their beliefs about the world, their worldview. They can play a building role where they're motivational and encouraging, or they can sometimes not play such a great role in terms of break down self-esteem.
Bullying. Which is a big thing,
turning a blind eye to bullying. Sometimes it's not just the bullying, but it's, what do you do when your child is being bullied? Especially around that age. Oh my goodness, the amount of bullying that goes on. And I think in today's time, it's even pervasive because of social media. Right? So there's cyberbullying. So with bullying as well, like, are there systems in place at school to protect children from bullying? And of late, I've actually started to realize that schools, because it's a new phenomenon, this whole cyberbullying, I think they're still trying to figure it out in terms of, do they intervene when it's cyberbullying, because it's happening sometimes outside of the school time, right? But then it follows the kid into the school because something was said online or on WhatsApp, and then now they're getting laughed at or bullied at school because of it. So I think it's something that I've noticed when I have conversations with school. It's still something they're trying to navigate. How do they intervene with cyberbullying situations? But I think, again, schools play an important role in setting the precedents, because this is a new thing. So I think this is the time where parents should be having more conversations with schools around cyberbullying, more conversations about protecting children, because I think the one thing parents also forget is that their kids can be the bully. It's sometimes easier to respond as a parent whose child is being bullied, right? Because like, where are the protection mechanisms? Why are my kids being vulnerable to the school? But it's something else when your child is the bully. And more often than not, it happens, right? So creating conversations and trying to have platforms of conversations, particularly with schools, around how do we approach this thing, a more collaborative way of working. Because yes, cyber and phone regulation is a parent's thing at home, right? It's in your jurisdiction. You can set rules around that. But whatever happens can affect in the school. Then school, what's your role? You can't tell me that I'm failing my child as a parent because maybe my guardrails are still sort of forming. But what are you going to do now that it's there, right? And sometimes when the child is the bully, schools can be very shaming and punitive, right? And what that means is that, and I think it's a symptom of society as a general, we want to treat the symptom. Right? Stop the bullying, stop laughing at my child, or stop taking other kids' lunch, right? It's easy to kind of sort of like, that's the behavior we need to keep. But do we understand why it happens? So even for the bully, we need to understand why they,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's that line of having
Yeah.
empathy as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think empathy 100%, because it's a different kettle of fish when it's your child being bullied. You know what I mean? Then you don't want to know the reason. You don't want to be like, let's talk about why he's bullying my child. No, you want the punitive measures. You want to make sure that it's not going to happen again. And not to
Yeah.
have this empathy is a little bit easier when it's your child that's being the offender, right?
But can I also just say something about that? That's what's so important, that we realize that teenagers are in a system. You're not the only caregiver to your child or primary sort of authoritative figure. Teachers have the responsibility to that. You do. Family members do. There's children. I think it's so easy to treat teenagers like adults.
Yeah.
You know it all.
Yeah.
So you fend for yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But it's so, so important to be able to sort of get that understanding of they are raised in a system.
Yeah.
And all parts of the system need to actually work together. So as much as the instinct for a mom is to protect my child that's being bullied, but if I don't understand the institution and the system that they are, I'll change schools every year, trying to, make sure they don't get bullied and look for a school that they're not going to get bullied.
Yeah.
But it's about bullying. It's a phenomenon. Even in the workplace as adults, we still experience bullying, right?
Yeah.
So teens are in a system. And to support teenagers, we need to think about, look around, learn the system, and how do we help the system not just protect the bullied, but also protect the bully. And what does that look like? What interventions are those like?
Yeah.
And is it a way where the parent can trust the school system and how they're going to deal with it? And if they don't, how do we resolve the mistrust? Because my child spends most of their day here.
Yeah.
So you should have a vested interest.
Yeah, it's your job. Also, I pay school fees.
You should have a vested interest.
Yeah. So we spoke a lot about the importance of routine in kids and protecting them even in times of mental strife or mental distress. How much more important is it in kids, in adults, in adolescents? My apologies. How much more important is it in adolescents to have a routine or habits that can keep them kind of safe mentally?
Oh, you double down. If you thought it was easy with the kiddies, or maybe after you're done with the toddler ages, the preteens, okay, they sort of functioning adults. But actually with adolescents, you have to sort of double down in routine. And I'll tell you why. So much of the world is uncertain and changing.
Yeah.
They don't know if their friend will like them tomorrow.
Yeah.
They don't know if they'll pass that exam or test.
Yeah.
They don't know if they'll wake up one day and have hair in their armpits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's so much uncertainty happening. They don't know if they'll ever find a girl they like.
Yes.
Everybody's dating.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
It happens.
Yeah.
They worry
Yeah.
about that because your body is changing, right? So you can just imagine, even within yourself, you sometimes don't figure out what's going on. You have these temper tantrums sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, the mood swings.
Yeah.
So you don't even have certainty within yourself. And then you live in a world that has no certainty.
Yeah.
Today, mom says bedtime is at 8. Tomorrow, she lets me sleep at 10. And then the next day, it's like, no, it's 8 o'clock. And it's like, it creates a sense of another thing that's uncertain in the world, right? An example I'll give on why routine is so important for teens is that, let's say their chore is washing dishes, right? And I think parents struggle a lot with kids, with teenagers and chores, right? But some of the reasons why they struggle is because you give them a chore, and some days when they wash the dishes, some days when they don't wash the dishes, you shout at them. You shout at them. It's like, I'm taking your pocket money. I'm doing all that sort of stuff. And on other days when they don't, because you're tired, it's been a long day, I'm tired, and you look at the dishwasher or the dish sink, and you realize there's so many dishes, and you're like, I don't even have the energy.
I don't have the energy.
And then you just go, Sometimes it's the other way. You come back home, you're in a happy mood. My kid, don't even worry about dishes.
Yeah, I'll do them today.
I'll do them. We're going to have takeaways.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But what that does is that if you're trying to instill, wash the dishes every day at 6, what they're going to do is that kids are kids. They take chances. So they're going to hope and pray, I hope mom comes in a happy mood today. So they won't do it. Because remember, the world is, the home environment is already unpredictable, right? So in an unpredictable environment, you can't trust that this thing is going to happen. Especially with parents who break promises. Oh my goodness. You know what I mean? So there's no incentive to follow through because you don't know if there will be a follow through. So again, in the context of dishes, right? They're going to hope today it's the day mom comes back home tired. I really hope she's tired today.
Or in a really good mood.
Or in a really good mood. And then they don't do it. And then it come back and it's the day you even had the worst day at work. Now you are taking things from them, you're shouting at them. And then we wonder why they're so moody, right? Already so much is changing inside of them. You also change the rules here and there based on you tired of being in a good mood. And then that creates this level of uncertainty and anxiety. So routine is important, not necessarily for discipline only, but for predictability. Create a predictable environment. In a predictable environment, you don't think as much. Remember? Their capacities are limited. So when something is predictable, you don't think, you just do it, you know? And, you know, I like bringing it back to adults and parents, right? When you're learning how to drive, the first few days, you're just kind of like looking at the mirrors and you don't even want the radio on. You're so anxious because you're new into these things. But as time goes by, you don't even think about it, right? So it's the same thing with routine and predictability. If you can predict something, you don't even have to process it, it's right or wrong. You just do it because it's something that you've done every day. But parents, it needs work.
Consistency
is key.
Thank you for that. That was amazing. I think that, teen mental health is a big thing. It's a scary thing, and it's something that is so difficult to speak about. So if there's a parent out there that is really struggling with their teenager's mental health, be it diagnosed or undiagnosed, when does it get better? Does it get better?
There's light at the end of the tunnel. It does get better. I did mention that, you know, the frontal cortex, prefrontal cortex only develops at 25. So what that means, again, with teenagers, with children, information is power. So it's just about the parent taking the position to know this is what they're going through, right? So they're limited in the way in which their capacity to reason. And when you know that, you're empowered to help them navigate the world in such a way that it starts to feel manageable as they get to 25, right? So again, if you put in the work with routine, how it gets better is that your child, as much as the world can be changing, friends dumping, boyfriends coming in and out, as much as all those things can be happening, the one place that's predictable is home. What does that mean? Home becomes a restful place. It becomes a place where they can even put their guards down, right? Their defenses down. You know, their non-judgmental place where they can just say, you know what, like, I'm upset because, you know, Jamie didn't invite me into the FIFA Cup tournament or whatever they're into, right? But what that does is that it does make it better. Because now you don't have to dig and dig to find out what's happening with your teenager. It means that they can even volunteer because you've worked to create that predictable environment. And parents really, after committing to it, whether it's at least for like 6 months, right, and committing to the routine and staying it through, it gets better and gets easier because they know what's expected. You even get to a point where you don't have to say anything anymore. Right? And then when you do you start picking up that now you're talking more than you used to with your teenager. That's when you pick up, oh, maybe there might be mental health things. Maybe there might be bullying. Because now you've created such a predictable environment that you can tell when things are out of place. And maybe there's mental health things that you have no control over that might be happening in school or with friends. So it gets easier if you put in the work, basically.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. I think what I'm taking away from this is about the mental health of our children is not about overprotecting them or being overbearing, but about opening the lines of communication and staying in connection with them, opening that door even when they slam it shut. Thank you so much to my special guest. I've really learned so much. If this episode has been helpful to you, please share it with someone close to you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and post your questions in the comment box. Remember, stay kind and stay curious.